Imagine a system, a silent guardian perhaps, or a terrifying specter from a past we hope to leave behind. This system has a chilling purpose. It's designed to ensure retaliation, even if no one is left to give the order. We are talking about an automatic nuclear launch system, a concept born from the deepest fears of the Cold War. It is a mechanism built to respond to the unthinkable, the utter devastation of a nation's leadership. This system is often known by its ominous nicknames. Dead Hand is one, Perimeter is another, its official, though rarely spoken, name in Russia. These names themselves conjure images of an unthinking, relentless response, a final catastrophic act triggered from beyond the grave. The idea alone is enough to send shivers down your spine. The Cold War wasn't just a battle of ideologies, it was a complex game of strategy, played with the highest possible stakes. The doctrine that governed this era was mutually assured destruction. Its acronym, MAD, was disturbingly appropriate. It meant that both sides had enough nuclear weapons to destroy each other completely. This, paradoxically, was meant to keep the peace. No one would start a nuclear war if it meant their own certain end. But MAD had a potential weakness. What if one side could launch a surprise attack so devastating that it crippled the enemy's ability to respond? This was known as a decapitation strike. The goal would be to eliminate the political and military leadership, to cut off the head of the command structure. If successful, the victim nation might be unable to order a retaliatory strike. Their nuclear arsenal would sit silent, unused. This fear of a decapitation strike was particularly acute in the Soviet Union. They worried deeply about their ability to respond if Moscow was hit first. So, how would such a system, this dead hand, actually work? The precise details are, understandably, shrouded in secrecy. But based on analysis and information from various sources, we can piece together a plausible picture. It's a fascinating and deeply unsettling piece of engineering. The core idea is to detect that a devastating nuclear attack is underway, or has already happened. Perimeter is believed to rely on a network of sensors. These are not ordinary sensors. They would be designed to detect the unambiguous signs of nuclear war. Seismic sensors, for instance, could pick up the ground shocks from multiple nuclear detonations. Light sensors could register the intense flashes of nuclear explosions. Radiation sensors would detect the telltale increase in background radiation. Atmospheric pressure sensors could also play a part, identifying the blast waves. Imagine a central command post buried deep underground, perhaps. This post would constantly monitor these sensors. It would also check for communication links with the top military and political leadership. If these links go silent, and if the sensors simultaneously scream nuclear attack, the system would begin its grim countdown. The absence of communication would be a key trigger. The system as it's understood isn't a purely robotic entity just waiting to press a button. There are layers to its potential activation. It's believed that even if the primary leadership is gone, the system might first try to transfer launch authority. This authority could pass to a small number of surviving senior officers in hardened bunkers. These officers would then make the final decision. However, if these officers are also unreachable, or if the system is designed for a more automated response in dire circumstances, a different mechanism comes into play. This is where the concept of special command rockets becomes crucial. These are not missiles armed with warheads intended for enemy targets. Instead, they carry powerful radio transmitters. They are designed to broadcast launch orders. Once launched, these command rockets would fly high over Russia. As they travel, they would transmit pre-programmed launch codes and targeting information. These signals would be received by the individual missile silos and mobile launchers scattered across the vast territory. This ensures that the retaliatory strike can be initiated even if all ground-based communication lines are severed. Section 5. Fact, folklore, or calculated ambiguity, unmasking perimeter. The question that looms large is perimeter real? Or is it a piece of Cold War folklore, a myth designed to intimidate? The truth, as often is the case with such sensitive matters, likely lies somewhere in between. Russia has never officially confirmed the existence of a fully automatic dead hand system in the way it's popularly imagined. Secrecy is paramount in nuclear strategy. However, there have been compelling accounts over the years. High-ranking Soviet defectors and former military officials have spoken about perimeter. They described its purpose and its general mechanics. These accounts, appearing after the Cold War's end, lent significant credibility to the system's existence. For example, Dr. Vladimir Yarenik, a former colonel in the Soviet Strategic Rocket Forces, has discussed the system in some detail. The evidence suggests that Perimeter, or a system very much like it, was indeed developed and deployed. Its primary role was to guarantee a retaliatory strike if the Soviet leadership was wiped out. It was seen as a crucial element of deterrence. The system was likely designed to be semi-automatic. This means it would require some form of authorization, perhaps from a lower-level officer in a secure bunker, before activating fully automatically. Section 6. Echoes in the 21st century. Is the dead hand still twitching? This brings us to a critical question for our time, in 2025. Is Perimeter, or its modern equivalent, still active? Given the secrecy, a definitive yes or no from official sources is unlikely. However, Russian officials have, on occasion, made statements that suggest such systems are still considered vital. They speak of ensuring the capability to retaliate under any circumstances. In recent years, Russia has been significantly modernizing its nuclear arsenal. New types of missiles, new delivery systems. It stands to reason that the command and control systems that manage these weapons would also be updated. If Perimeter was deemed essential during the Cold War, its underlying logic ensuring retaliation against a decapitation strike might still hold appeal for Russian military planners today. The strategic landscape has changed since the Cold War, but new tensions have emerged. The fear of a sudden disarming strike, while perhaps different in nature, hasn't entirely vanished. Section 7. A world on edge. Perimeter's shadow in modern geopolitics. The existence or even the suspected existence of a system like Perimeter has profound implications for global stability today. We live in a world where geopolitical tensions can flare up quickly. The rhetoric between major powers sometimes echoes the dangerous tones of the Cold War. In such an environment, the presence of automated or semi-automated nuclear response systems adds a deeply unsettling dimension. It complicates international relations significantly. If one nation possesses a system designed for automatic retaliation, it can influence the calculations of other nations. Does it make them more cautious? Or does it spur them to develop their own countermeasures or even similar systems? This creates a dangerous action-reaction cycle. It can lead to a new, more technologically complex arms race. Furthermore, systems like Perimeter cast a long shadow over arms control and disarmament efforts. How do you verify the deactivation or dismantling of a system whose very existence is shrouded in secrecy? How do you build trust when such ultimate weapons of last resort might be lurking in the background? These are difficult questions for diplomats and policymakers. The psychological weight of such systems is also immense. Section 8. The Pandora's Box Dilemma. Risks of automated retaliation. While Perimeter might be conceived as a guarantor of deterrence, it also opens a Pandora's box of terrifying risks. The most obvious is the danger of accidental activation. What if the system's sensors malfunction? What if a series of unrelated events, a large earthquake, a major conventional conflict, a catastrophic industrial accident, are misinterpreted by the system as a nuclear attack? Then there's the specter of cyber warfare. In our hyper-connected world, even highly secure military systems can be vulnerable to sophisticated cyber attacks. Could an adversary attempt to spoof the signals that Perimeter relies on? Could they try to trick the system into believing a decapitation strike has occurred? The consequences of such a scenario are too horrifying to contemplate fully. A war started by hackers, without a single missile initially fired by an enemy state. Moreover, the very nature of an automated response system inherently increases escalation risks. By design, it reduces or removes human judgment at the most critical moment. Humans can assess nuance, doubt, and context. Section 9. Gazing into the nuclear abyss. Reflections on our precarious existence. The story of Perimeter, the dead hand, is a chilling reminder of the precarious tightrope humanity walked during the Cold War, and in some ways, continues to walk. It represents the extreme lengths to which nations might go when driven by fear and the doctrine of deterrence. A machine designed to ensure revenge, even from an empty chair, is a stark symbol of our capacity for self-destruction. The legacy of that era's paranoia endures. While the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union dissolved, nuclear weapons did not disappear. The strategic thinking that led to concepts like Perimeter, while perhaps adapted, has not been entirely abandoned. New geopolitical fault lines emerge, and old anxieties can resurface. The shadow of automated response systems reminds us that the nuclear abyss is never too far away. This makes dialogue, diplomacy, and a commitment to de-escalation more critical than ever. Understanding these systems, their risks, and the strategic environment that fosters them is vital. We must strive for greater transparency and robust arms control agreements. The goal must always be to reduce the role of nuclear weapons in international security and to pull back from any reliance on automated decision-making for their use.